SecondsOut.
This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by my good friend Xavier Miller here over Zoom. Xavier, it's a big week in boxing. We're going to ignore the fact we've been
It's
chatting for I'd say about 15 minutes off camera now.
easy,
How is
easy, yeah.
everything, my friend? Are you all good?
All good. Thank you, Josh. All good.
Very, very good to hear. As always, I can't bring you on for an interview and not talk about your own stable. There's so much going on in your stable at the moment. It seems like you are really getting into that period now where heading into 2025, you've got some massive fights coming up. I think one in particular that's really stood out for me is Bilal Fawaz takes on Junaid Boston for the English title, chief support of a matchroom card. Just talk to me about how this opportunity has come about for Bilal.
Yeah, again, congrats, honestly, and all. It's all due to Steve Goodwin. He's done a really good job. I took Bilal to him maybe, I don't know, 12, 18 months ago, and he got him a Southern area fight at a slightly higher weight, at one weight above. Bilal won that title, Southern area belt, and then he did a fine eliminator for the English a few months back. And now he's got this opportunity and he's waited a very, very long time. So honestly, congrats to Bilal. His head trainer Taron from All Stars. I always said that I'll be on hand to help them with anything they need. Massive opportunity for Bilal. Boston I rate, but Bilal's got a very, very good chance here. As long as he puts it all together, come out victorious again. Can go on further with his career and start making some serious money. So I'm very, very happy for Bilal. He's had it very, very hard. Everyone knows his story. So yeah, congrats to Bilal.
While it's very nice to see him get this opportunity, obviously I can hear you saying the congratulations to him. How important is it that you take away the fact that okay, this might not be the biggest matchroom boxing show they do, but it's still a huge opportunity. How important is it for you to strip that all back and just say to him, listen, this is just another fight. This is just another time of you getting into a boxing ring and doing what you do best. How important is it to drill that into his head and not let those lights and the cameras get to him?
I don't think those likes have any effect on Bilal whatsoever. Bilal is ultra confident. He's got a lot of self belief. He doesn't believe anyone can beat him, especially when he's on his A game. And he's always been that way. I've known Bilal since the amateurs. He's one of the best amateurs we've ever had out of this country. He was like I think two-time heavyweight champion. Won the Box Cup at least three times. He's probably the best fighter to come out of All Stars for years. So obviously there's been issues outside the ring that have stopped his progress, and he wasn't able to continue his career. But Steve Goodwin has done a really, really good job managing him. And yeah, I expect Bilal to do big things. He's still a threat, and yeah, I think this fight's come along at the right time for both guys. Obviously, Boston's a lot younger. He needs a real test, and Bilal older. With that amateur background experience, and all of what he's been through, I think mentally he's in the right place to do this. And he wins this fight, he really has got a big opportunity to go forward and do something special. So yeah, I love the fight, and yeah, I'll also be there. I'll be there anyway with Jesse Brandon. He's going to be on a matchroom card. I'm just waiting for that to get finalised and announced. Big opportunity for Jesse Brandon. Obviously, he looks spectacular. I think in his third fight with that knockout at York Hall. Signed to Wasserman, and Jesse's he sees himself as a star. So again, this is a really, really big opportunity for Jesse. He does really good numbers. He's got a good cult following. So yeah, that would be another a big chance for him. So I'm looking forward to that.
Another big fight, the rescheduled date between Ahmed Hatim and Aaron Prosper. I remember speaking to
Yeah.
Ahmed ahead of the December 7th date that unfortunately fell through. And it seems that there's starting to be a little bit of tension between the two, especially from Ahmed's side. I've seen the Instagram reels put about him. Do you feel there is starting to be not necessarily bad blood, but there is tension between the two now?
Definitely from Ahmed's side. I don't know Aaron, but Ahmed, he's desperate to get an opportunity. And this belt and this final eliminator for the English is exactly what he needs. It's going to be on a Dean White show, BLVCK. Another really good platform. Dean's doing really big things. His shows always look good. I'm hearing that there might be 3+ title fights on this show. I'm going to have another two or three fighters on that show as well. Mark Iani does really good numbers. He's on a good run. I think he's like 10 and 1 now. So he'll be looking towards like a Sunday title fight soon. and I've got another good Italian boxer, Luigi, who had a draw out in Italy for the European silver. The guy didn't want to rematch him. He went on and boxed somebody else, and obviously he didn't want to risk going back in with Luigi. So I didn't want him to be out of the ring too long. So I spoke to Dean and asked him if we can get him out on this show. So he'll be doing a 6 rounder as well. So yeah, that's another good card. Like this, I could be here all day telling you about the guys that's got cop fights coming. It's just like it's going to be very, very busy early next year.
It's always good to hear. 'Cause obviously, we've spoken many a time now,
Mm.
and I know how much you love the sport, how much you want to build this gym of yours into a title winning gym, and you are getting into that stage now where you're seeing big opportunities pop up, even if it's for some of your more prospect fighters who aren't in title fights yet. But you mentioned your heavyweight as well. Now, forgive me for not being able to pronounce the name, but again, I've seen him on my Instagram. I've seen the
Yeah.
unbelievable following that he has got.
Mm.
Um, just talk to me about him. I know he was out recently as well. If I'm correct, he was out very recently, wasn't he?
But I manage Ergel Elazaj as well as Alfie Clegg and Jesse Brandon. And what I'm trying to do with Ergel in particular is I want him to be as busy as possible. I want to go back to the original way of doing, like, of building these boxes, keeping him really busy. He's 22 years old, and he's been in with a lot of good heavyweights already, sparring, a lot of experience. And don't be fooled by this Instagram following because he doesn't have a big Instagram presence. He's just starting to build. It's not really his thing, but he's starting to get into it now and understand it. But he has a genuine following. I think for his debut, he did over 400 for his debut. He's just done good numbers again. He done good numbers on a Goodwin show, good numbers on a Nielsen show, and I'm purposely trying to put him with a different promoter for every single fight. That was the idea. For his first 4 or 5 fights, was put him with different promoters. I just wanted to see how they all do business, and I wanted obviously as many eyes on him as possible. Also waiting for some good news on him. I can't really say anything right now, but he might well be on a TV platform. His next fight. Hopefully that comes through, but he's doing really well too. Ergel Elazaj is one. He's one to look out for. He's been sparring Jamie TKV as well this week. Really good work, both of them. They both got a high work rate. They love working for each other. So, yeah, I don't. It's good. I've got the comfort of not having to rush because he's 22, so I can take my time and build him properly. He's a threat.
Oh, it's very good to hear. Let's turn our attention away now and look at all the big news going on in the boxing world now. We know that it's a massive week in the boxing scene. Usyk versus Fury 2, but before that, something that I kind of feel like went a little bit under the radar, but we did see the return of Dillian Whyte on Sunday night in Gibraltar. Um, like many of the other boxing hardcores, we were there watching it. I'm sure
Mm.
you were as well. What did you make of Dillian's return performance against Ebenezer Tetteh?
To be honest with you, my mistake. Honestly, I didn't realize the fight was on a Sunday. If I'd known that, I'll be honest with you, I would have gone out there because obviously it's good memories for me as well. That's where we got revenge against Povetkin, got his title back, his interim title back. So that was a big, big win for Dillian, put him right back up there, and obviously led to the Fury fight. So it would have been nice to get out there, to be honest with you. And obviously I used to train Sadem. I would like to watch her. I really like Thomas Carty as well. These all good people. Um, so I had to obviously do what everyone else has done and watch it on TV. I did message Dillian beforehand, wished him luck, and then messaged him, I think either that night or the following day, just to give him my assessment. I mean, obviously, I spent a long time with him, so we still do talk boxing every now and then, not as often as we used to. Um, but yeah, I thought it wasn't the fight I was expecting, like everybody else, but I did see some improvements. I'll be honest with you. I thought the combination punching was good. I thought defensively it improved. I think that he's definitely been mindful of his positioning in the ring and where he should be and where he shouldn't be. Head movement was really good. Using his shoulders as defense, sometimes cross arm defense. I could see some improvements. I would just obviously I'm a straight shooter. I would like to see him a lot lighter. I think that everything that he's doing in there, he could do a lot better if he's lighter. So yeah, I think if he drops the weight, I think he's still a threat. And obviously, Riyadh season, sorry, and so many good heavyweights out there. Dillian's always going to be in a fun fight. That was a fun fight. I thought that fight would be over in like a round or two, but the guy was game. Get like he was game until he wasn't, because I don't understand how you can sit on the stool and sit the fight out and then be shadow boxing once the fight had been done. And I think Barry Jones, who was calling it, called it right. He said, "Well, if you've got that much energy now, then you should have continued fighting," and he's right. Um, Good that Dillian got the rounds. Obviously, he would have liked to obviously probably get a clean knockout, knowing Dillian. But yeah, I think the rounds will be good for him. And yeah, I look forward to seeing him back. Dillian. I was watching Dillian way before I got involved with Dillian, so I've always liked watching these guys. All the UK guys in particular, they're heavyweights because obviously they've kept the sport alive for us. The nice crop of heavyweights that we've had. So yeah, good luck to him.
Obviously, we see, I think, three heavyweight fights this weekend, including Usyk versus Fury.
Yeah,
But just
yeah.
looking at this heavyweight scene right now, not just domestically but globally, where does Dillian Whyte fit in this now? Obviously, while he's had the two fights this year, it's two fights that don't exactly put him right back in the mix. What does Dillian need to do now to ensure that he is back in that conversation of being in that mix with your AJs, your Usyks, your Furies? What
Look,
route should he take now?
I think the best option, me personally, I think a Chisora fight would be great. I think White Chisora 3 would be ideal. And, I can't even call who win that fight. That to me, both fights have been really good. The first one was unbelievable. The second one, Derek was doing really well, but Dillian, used a different tactic and, it was a little bit cleaner and, it was done a good job. So I don't see the third one being any different. I think it's going to be just as competitive, just as close. So I think that's a good fight. And then after that, I would advise. Oh, it's not up to me, but I think fight guys in and around your era. I think the young guys coming up, you should leave them alone. Those guys, there's enough talent in and around those guys. They can fight each other. Wilder, Joshua, Dillian, Chisora, Fury, all these guys, they can fight each other until they finish their careers. But yeah, we've got another batch coming up that are looking exciting to watch as well. Like obviously, Atuma.
Yeah,
It
you
looks
got
good. I
Moses
think the
Salma.
Dempsey fight I like. We had Dempsey in camp for with Dillian obviously because his height. Dempsey's very very tall. Like maybe 6'8" or 6'9". So that's why we had him in there. I watched him spar rounds with Dillian. It was good work. So I'm expecting a good fight there. I think if Atuma gets him out, catches him early, then he might be able to stop him early. But if the fight goes a bit longer, I wouldn't. I would still favour Tuma, but I like that the fight will be more competitive, like after round 5, 6, because of the experience of Dempsey. So I think it's a really good fight. So, and what other heavyweights on there on the card?
You've got Johnny Fisher versus Dave Allen.
Don't really like that fight. I'll be honest with you. I don't. I like Dave Allen because he's been, a good servant to the sport as well. Another good guy, but I just don't think he's been active enough up at that level um, to cause Johnny Fisher any real problems. I think he's a guy coming up, so I don't think that's the greatest fight. I think they could have found a better matchup for him. Um,
Do you not find any confidence in because one thing that I've noticed about Dave Allen over my years of watching him, obviously I know I've got into boxing a lot later than most, but we've seen a sense of maturity come into his career now, and he
mm,
sat there in an interview, I think with Queensbury, and he said, "Oh, I wouldn't fight Moses Alma. That would be stupid." He said he looks at who he thinks he can beat and who is beatable, and he looks at Johnny Fisher and goes, "Yeah, that's someone I can beat." Do you not gain any, I guess you could say, confidence in him and seeing the maturity and knowing where his level is?
I do. If I was Johnny Fisher, I'd be looking at that as a bit of a disrespect, honestly. I mean, all that crop of heavyweights that are all coming together, we don't really know who's really going to rise to the top. There's quite a few of them. David Adelaide looked really good the other day. Sometimes change is good. I think he looked good under his new trainer. Um, yeah, I was very impressed with that performance. So there's a lot of good guys. So all those guys compete with each other, and it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be good fights. But again, I think I would like to see Johnny Fisher with one of the younger guys. There's enough of them around to make a good fight. So, but yeah, listen, Dave Allen he's always had a lot of heart, and he's got a good left hook as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting, but I just don't see him being able to do anything with Johnny Fisher at this stage of his career. I think obviously if it was the Dave Allen of old, then I would have favoured him.
Well, we've got to turn the attention to the main event. We've got potential to see 12 more of those great rounds or less of what we saw in May. in a fight that was so much better than what we all expected. We do see it all again on Saturday. Right now, based on what you've seen and the experience, who are you siding with going into this rematch?
I put a bet on the first one. I always said that Usyk would beat Fury. I was always confident about it. I just think Usyk is he's the more skilled and more and better schooled fighter. With Tyson Fury, a lot of what he does well is because he does have a height and a weight advantage over a lot of these fighters, but he's not technically as good as Usyk. Um, I expected Usyk to beat him easier in that fight. I thought I would be looking at maybe an 8-4, a 9-3 sort of fight. It wasn't that. It was closer. There's no doubt Usyk won the fight. I don't think it's crazy for anyone to suggest that Tyson won the fight because he didn't. It should have actually really been stopped. To be honest with you, you're bouncing off the rope 3 times. I mean, that at least one of those is a standing counter or a knockdown. So it was a weird one. But yeah, it's made me feel that Tyson has a chance now because of what I've seen. That's why a lot of times when we keep talking about fantasy fights or fights that need to happen, we need to see the fight. And now I've seen the fight, it's maybe look at the fight a little bit different. I do give Tyson a chance here now. I've heard some suggest that he should be more aggressive. I don't agree with that at all. I think that's the worst thing that he could do, in my opinion. We've seen in the past, we've had greats in the past. Lennox Lewis, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. He adopted to be aggressive and stand there with Ray Mercer. And to be honest with you, you wouldn't be out of your mind to suggest that fight was a draw or there was one round and I think it was a 10 rounder, but both his eyes were swollen. He had to wear dark glasses into the fight because that wasn't a good range for Lennox. That was a good range for Ray Mercer. And then Lennox almost made the same mistake in the rematch with Holyfield. There was a couple of times where he wanted to fight Holyfield in close. And I think it was maybe the seventh or eighth round, and Holyfield hit him with a very, very short left hook. And unless his legs went for a minute, he had to go back to the ropes and cover up and recover. But you could see at that moment who was technically better. You could see Holyfield was technically better. It's just that Lennox is bigger. And when you've got those kind of height and reach and kind of advantages, if you use them at the right times, then you can deal with a guy who is technically better. You just keep him long. I think keeping Usyk at long range is the smartest thing Tyson can do. And if we look at the first fight, he was catching with the uppercut because Usyk was trying to close range on him and he was catching him coming in. So it makes sense to toy with him and leave him outside as long as you possibly can. I think if you fight him aggressively, I think Usyk's the guy with the shorter arms. He's proved from the first fight so far that he's the puncher. I know a lot are suggesting that he hurt Usyk. He stunned him 1 or 2 times, but hurt, that's an exaggeration. The only person that was hurt in that fight was Tyson, and a good couple of times. So you want to fight him at short range with the longer arms? Doesn't make that much sense to me. But yeah, you never know what you're going to get with Tyson. But I slightly favour Usyk. But the only problem, I think, if it's close like last time, I think they're going to give it to Fury.
I've seen a few reports suggesting that we could see Tyson Fury come in at a career heaviest weight this weekend or on Friday night when they do hit the scales. Obviously, well, that's all unconfirmed yet, and that's just rumours to us. If we do see a career heaviest Tyson Fury, do you think that what do you make of that? Do you think it's the right or wrong thing?
He seems to carry the weight well. He was heavy, wasn't he, in the rematch with Wilder, right? He came in quite heavy for that fight.
Yeah, the third
Yeah,
fight he came in heavy. I think the second
right,
fight might have came in lighter.
right. So I think obviously with the leaning on your opponent, he's the much bigger guy. The excess weight on someone like Usyk is not a natural heavyweight. Makes a lot of sense in that part of the fight, in that stage. If they're going to be wrestling and holding, then obviously it'll benefit Tyson. Uh, but as long as he can carry the weight well and he can keep Usyk on the ice outside, if he's a little bit heavier or a little bit lighter, I'm not sure how much difference that's going to make with him because he's always proved that he can still do what he can do, whether he's heavy or light. Again, it's down the stretch. Does he have the energy levels to keep it with someone like Usyk, who seems to get better as the fight goes on? So, yeah, I think that I do still favour Usyk, but like I said, if it's close, we could see a draw, or they might tip it to Fury, and then you see a third fight.
I would like to quickly correct myself. I've just checked BoxRec, and for some reason I believe that Fury came in lighter for the rematch with Wilder. He didn't. He came in at 256.5 in the first one, 273 in the second one, and then 277 in the third.
Yeah,
So,
the plan was to lean on Wilder and wear him out, so that's why he came in heavy. But you're doing that against someone who's not technically gifted. Usyk is,
mm,
and as long as Usyk's using his angles, and if you come in too heavy, then you're going to look quite cumbersome. But like I said, we Usyk's also 37, is it?
yeah, I
And
think so.
not a natural heavyweight. He's could be coming toward the end of his career too. So anything can happen in this fight. So look, I'm looking forward to it though.
Obviously, we have spoke about what Tyson needs to do and what you believe he should do, but if there is anything Usyk needs to change, and this is something I said to someone the other day, we've always known how good of not even good, how great of an athlete Oleksandr Usyk is, but listening and watching the documentary they released, within hours of the first fight, and Usyk becoming the undisputed heavyweight world champion, he was already talking about what changes he needs to make for a rematch. He already knew what he did wrong. What changes do you think we will see from Oleksandr Usyk heading into this fight?
I agree with him. Like I said, because I picked him to beat Fury by like 8-4, 9-3. I expected to see a sharper Usyk. Um, he did spend a lot of time walking Tyson down with a high guard. It was a slightly different approach, but I felt like the angles and taking a half a step out, making Tyson give up his height at times. I thought that would have been a better game plan, and that's why I think at times Tyson was picking up rounds because he was fighting in a way that in a style that suited Tyson. I don't think he'll do it this time. I think the scary part is if Usyk is still Usyk and he turns up and performs the way I thought he would do in the first fight, then you probably will see an 8-4. But it just depends what he's got left. But I think I agree with Usyk. I think he definitely needs to change the way he approaches this fight. Definitely.
Well, I suppose there's only one question to end it off with, and that is your final prediction ahead of fight night. We know that you mentioned it's going to be close,
Yeah.
but you've got to go one way or the other, or I will
Yeah.
accept a draw if you believe that. But which one seems most likely in your mind right now?
Yeah. I'm still favouring Usyk. Definitely Usyk. I could see a draw, and then we could see a third fight. Um, I could see a controversial decision to Tyson, but I think Usyk wins more rounds to me than Tyson. So that's what's going to make it interesting.
Well, Xavier, I appreciate your time as always, and I think we'll have to catch up again once the fight has been seen, and we can
100%.
get all our reaction to it. So we'll speak again then. Thank you.
100%. Take care, Josh. See you soon. Take care.